Good morning. I'm busy. I'm very busy. I'm very frazzled. I've got someone calling me, I would say, in a half hour, so I'm a little bit frazzled. But anyway, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a YouTube channel mostly about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and his beautiful wife, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. But sometimes I go off, tangent, and I speak about other things such as my lawsuit which I'm working on against the UK and the British Monarchy, because I'd like for my identities to be reestablished. And so I would like for this to be a class action where I sue on behalf of myself and others similarly situated who don't know their identities and origins as a consequence of the wrongful international acts of the UK government and monarchy, which gave its assent for all of these wrongful acts to occur. And so I'm working on my motion for that, and I'm trying to put together the common questions presented in this action. And what I have so far is, can a government or other political entity, such as a monarchy, unlawfully interfere with the fundamental constitutional right of individuals to know their ethnic origins for any arbitrary reason with impunity? So that's my first question for the court is can they do that? My second question is, can a government or other political entity, such as a monarchy, arbitrarily deprive only certain groups of information about their identities and origins, and race norm only certain individuals as having no right to know their ethnic origins, without providing said groups of individuals with substantive and procedural due process before the deprivation? The third question I have for the court is a government or other political entity, such as a monarchy, excused from accountability for its own wrongful and harmful policies as devised by its paid agents and representatives, on the basis that its agents and representatives who committed the wrongful acts are no longer in the government's employ? Number 4, I'd like for the court to decide, are quote-unquote Black Caribbean residents excluded from human rights norms on the basis of their identity as quote-unquote Black people from small islands who are quote-unquote descendants of slaves? Number 5, I'd like for the court to decide, does the extent of a government's power determine whether or not it is required to respect the fundamental human rights of certain disfavored groups in the society? Number 6, I would like for the court to decide, are certain governments exempt from making restitution for their internationally wrongful acts depending on who they injure? Number 7, I would like for the court to decide, and this is a long one, if a government breaches its obligation to act in conformity with its own laws and prevent wrongful and arbitrary acts of its agents and representatives who are harming innocent, undefended civilians who have committed no wrongdoing but who are being deprived of their fundamental human rights, is said government exempt from its obligation to restitute individuals who have been injured as a consequence of that breach, just because the government and its agents allowed said wrongful and arbitrary acts to extend over a long period of time, and just because said government's obligation to restitute the aggrieved remained not in conformity with the government's obligation to make restitution to the aggrieved over a long period of time, and just because the direct effects on the aggrieved of the government's breach manifest recurrently for hundreds of years after the initial breach of the government's obligation. It's a very long one. Probably I should have broken that up, but there you go. That's number 7. Number 8, I'd like for the court to decide, what is the statute of limitations for the right to know one's ethnic origins, which have been arbitrarily erased by a powerful government and monarchy? And given the circumstances in this case, do the defendants even have the right to raise statute of limitations as a defense? Number 9, I'd like for the court to decide, are Black, quote-unquote, people just fundamentally not entitled to the same human rights as the rest of society, even today? And finally, number 10, I would like for the court to decide, are the plaintiff and others similarly situated in this case just not entitled to have their identities and origins reestablished by the powerful defendants who wrongfully and arbitrarily deprived the plaintiff and others similarly situated of their identities, because the plaintiffs are powerless, indigent, and unsophisticated people who have no bargaining power in the international realm, while the defendants are powerful, long-time friends of the United States with all the bargaining power in the world.